Did you know that most business owners leak money every year simply because they don't have the data or the team working together? So, today's professional insight interview, we're going to dive into solutions that can help eliminate some of those costly gaps and using a complete team approach to help manage your business and personal finances. And today we're talking with Mike Clarke, co-founder of Protection Point Advisors. And Mike's going to share over his couple decades in the business, how business owners like you can bring the pieces of that financial puzzle together to make sense, to get better decisions, and to move your business forward in the direction that you want it to go in for the exit that you want. So, without any further ado, let's jump into this. Good morning, Mike.
Let's jump into this. Yes, good morning.
Let's do this. So, right off the top, Mike, what's a digital family office and how does it differ from a traditional family office?
Well, digital family office really is nothing more than all the advisors that work on behalf of a common client working together. It's the attorney being the attorney, the tax person, the CPA being the CPA. It's the financial advisor being the financial advisor, the insurance person being the insurance person. It really is the idea of all these advisors working together on one team for the sake of one common client. The reason we use the term digital is because it's no longer do all of those professionals need to be under one roof. The old school version of the family office really was exactly that. You'd walk in the door and every single professional specialty was under one roof. That doesn't need to be the case anymore, particularly with this virtual world that we all live in now, where we're seeing each other in this format or other formats. It's very, very easy to bring together all the members of the team. So it really is the idea of everybody who is working on behalf of a common client actually working as a team. And as you and I have discovered, that is surprisingly rare.
So it is. And the traditional family office, to your point, has been traditionally very, very expensive.
Yes.
But Mike, bringing this team together, how important is this collaboration and what should a business owner, like, how does a business owner build that team?
Well, first of all, I think you have to decide who the point person is. Now, typically, the point person is usually the financial advisor. And the reason for that is a financial advisor typically has more contact with the business owner than the other professionals do, because the financial advisor is managing a whole lot more variables than say the attorneys or the CPA. But it could be, though. It could be the CPA, because sometimes CPAs function, especially with their small business clients, as sort of outsourced CFOs. So it could also be, or just as easily be the CFO, the tax person / CFO. Whoever's running point really should be the person that insists that all the advisors be brought together as a team, and in some cases make those connections. Make sure that the attorney knows the financial advisor knows the insurance person. All those connections really need to happen so that everybody knows one another, because at some point they may need to exchange information with one another regarding, things like business succession, estate planning. I mean, the list is long.
So let's dig into that a little bit, Mike. What is that unique value proposition with having those individuals speak to each other?
Well, an example would be, say, at tax time. The tax preparer is preparing, say, a gain loss report on investments, okay? Calculating the tax exposure. The financial advisor can provide a lot of information that would make the tax preparer's job easier when it comes to things like data entry and sort of gain loss and recognized gains and unrecognized gains and all that wonderful stuff, okay?
Yep.
Financial advisor can exchange information with, say, the estate planning attorney regarding how certain assets are owned and held and whatnot. The insurance person would be in a position to maybe change the beneficiaries on life insurance policies to, say, a trust, if that's what's warranted. It's just little things like that. The CFO or the CPA or whoever it is can interface with, say, a valuation expert. If a valuation on the business is being done, they can work together to come up with a proper valuation because, as you know, valuations can vary depending upon the
Yeah.
reason for doing the valuation. Okay.
Right. Right. And so with business being more and more complicated, just not only just the environment, but the amount of resources that consumers have and being competitive, what trends are you seeing in the adoption of these, building these teams, this digital family office with small businesses?
Well, I think we're seeing now a trend in fractional roles first and foremost,
Yep.
where small businesses don't hire um, a full-time CFO. Maybe they hire a fractional CFO, somebody who just does what is needed and no more, and then you pay them hourly or what have you. There can be fractional administrative staff. There can be fractional this or that. I think this world of sort of fractional staff is here to stay because you can just hire what you need and pay for what you need. Okay.
Right.
Um, I think that goes along with this, how businesses are outsourcing certain things, virtually to sometimes other countries, where you've got, administrative staff that are in other countries doing a lot of your back office support. And I think what we're beginning to see, I think the broader trend is really the concept of community, and I think the industries, lots of industries are coming around to the idea that it really does take a village, as the saying
Right.
goes. It really does take a village to raise a business.
And it does. And you mentioned fractional, and we have access to a lot of fractional. I mean, fractional HR, to your point. I mean, we've got
Yeah, right.
fractional
That's
general
another one.
counsel,
Yeah,
right? I mean, it's amazing. I mean, there's fractional sales executives. I mean, it's nuts.
right.
Fractional everything.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you got these professionals, Mike. But like, what's the biggest challenges for small business owners that want to even try to start building this team, though? Like, where do they start?
Well, I'm going to say something that's probably going to be unpopular, but I think they need to start with themselves. I
Fair.
think you need to start with, what am I doing that I shouldn't be doing?
It's a great
Um,
one. Yep.
um, how do I take myself out of the center of my own business universe? How do I make the business? How do I make my business less dependent on me? Okay.
Yep.
I think that's the short answer. And I think if you can possibly get there, like where you really have an inventory of things that you shouldn't be doing, and you really have an eye on taking yourself out of the center of everything, then I think you can progress towards building the right team, building the right infrastructure, really designing a system that isn't dependent upon you. It's entirely possible and surprisingly easy, I think. But I think it starts with really doing the toughest thing for any business owner, which is to let go of control, stop being so controlling, let go.
Which is, Mike, and we've had in professionals on this show that talk about that owner-centric mentality
Yeah.
as to why businesses don't sell.
Right. The best advice I think we ever got was you need to run your business like it's always for sale. Okay.
Yep.
And if you consider that it's always for sale and you look at it through the lens of somebody who might buy it, okay, then you get an entirely different perspective on what's going on. Like what is somebody who would buy you? What are they buying? What value do they take away from it? Okay. And if you look at it through that lens, then you can start to conceptualize some of the roads you need to go down. And in the end, I think that this really is a dream for any business owner to have a business that almost runs itself. Okay.
Right. And there's books on this, right? The E-Myth
Sure.
by Gerber. I mean, the technician versus the owner. There's the cash flow quadrant by Kiyosaki about moving from,
Sure.
an
Yeah.
employee to, I mean, if you own a business, all you are is an overpaid
I've read
employee,
most of those books.
right? And so, I mean, and that's just, there's a dozen books that talk about moving out of this technician role and moving into a more of a CEO role.
And I'm going to say something that sounds weird. Okay. I read this recently, but I think it's really true. It's the idea of achieving big by thinking small. Okay. And here's what I
Okay.
mean. I don't mean thinking small like in terms of results. I mean thinking small in terms of focus. Like, where should your focus be as a business owner? What is it that you do well? If you use a sports analogy, right? You wouldn't put the quarterback on the offensive line.
Right.
You get crushed.
Right.
Okay. Quarterback plays a specific position. On the other hand, an offensive lineman wouldn't be a great quarterback either. I mean, they're two entirely different skill sets. You have to understand, what is my superpower, and can I put myself in the position where I just do that? Okay.
Yep.
So that's the idea of achieving big by thinking small, because it involves narrowing your focus to almost this laser like thing where you're like, okay, I have to get rid of all these other things I'm doing because I am Superman at this,
Right.
whatever this is.
And allowing other people on the team, which goes back
Yeah.
to understanding how to hire and HR and everything else.
Well, yeah. And
Hire those people and entrust them to do their jobs.
look, when in my own case, when I got hiring right, okay, and by the way, it took me a long time. I was a terrible boss for a while. Okay. Um, I hired the wrong people. I didn't pay them anything. And when they got something wrong, it was almost like they stole something from me. I was not a good person to work for. I had to learn how to be somebody who I had to learn how to be a good boss. I was cutting my own, I was cutting the legs out from under myself, and I didn't know it. Okay. When I started to get hiring right, when I actually hired somebody that was the right person, I actually paid them. Okay. And as that continued, the progression for me was like, oh, wait a second. Now I can begin to offload all these different tasks. And now you get to the point where, oh, wait, I'm not the center of the universe anymore. How great is this? Okay. And the thing I realized is, it never needed to be this hard. All I needed to do was just let go just a little bit, and it got so much easier. And I talked to so many small business owners who are in that spot where they just need to let go, and they're like, yeah, I just don't know if I can. Okay. But that's what's on the other side. There's a great deal of freedom. And the best part of it is your business is worth more.
So moving forward, Mike, do you see this concept of the digital family office evolving over the next 3, 5, 6, 7 years?
Oh, huge. Yeah, huge. I mean, because I think, especially advice giving professionals, attorneys, CPAs, people like us, business owners like that are going to need to recognize that they can't do everything. And they're going to need to band together with other professionals, because if you're a small business owner, you really want your team to work on your behalf, and you don't have or don't want to devote intellectual energy to things that other people should be doing. Okay.
So who starts that conversation though, Mike? I mean, is it the business owner has 14 hats on, right? Is it the business owner that starts that conversation, or should it be, now we're a little bit different because we start the conversation.
Yeah,
Who should start that?
Who's ever at the forefront of the business operations, I think, it could be, usually be like if you have a CFO, a fractional CFO, maybe it's your tax person. But although, tax people really should mention this more, and they don't, because they tend to be fixated on their own areas. So it could be the tax person, or an outsourced CFO, could be your financial advisor, but somebody who has the business owner's ear saying, look, in order to get this to the next level, here's what has to happen. You got to get all your team members on the same page. Okay.
But Mike, and we've talked about this too. Business owners lean heavily on their CPAs that may or may not have the mindset, the skill set, or anything, the confidence to bring this up. And so it puts the business owner in a bad position.
Well, look, CPAs, again, and God bless CPAs, because they have a particular specialty that people need, which is tax.
Right.
Okay. They exist in the tax realm, and they're not often thinking outside of that box, and that's fine. I'm just saying somebody needs to be looking at this holistically and going, you know what? You got all these puzzle pieces. Let's put the puzzle together so it looks like a picture instead of just random pieces.
Right. And do you think the digital family office ought to be a standard for small businesses?
Oh yeah, of course I do. Again, anytime you have a group of advisors, when they work as a team, you win. Okay.
Right.
So it's just a matter of somebody needs to run point and say, look, everybody needs to know everybody. It's not like you're talking all the time. I mean, I may talk to my client's tax person once a year, maybe, and that might be via email if they need information from us, which they're used to getting, and we send to them, and they're grateful that we send it. It makes our job easier. Okay. But we're there and they know we're there. Okay. We might interface with the trust attorney maybe once every few years, say we need to review the trust. If it's a business owner, let's review your succession plan. Okay.
Right.
When's the last time you had a valuation done? It might be things like benefits where we're saying, look, you got a 401k. When's the last time it was benchmarked? When's the last time somebody looked at it? It could be your health insurance. Health insurance needs to be updated once a year.
Oh, it changes. Yeah. The exclusions change every year.
Yeah, they change every year. Now, I think most businesses that have a health insurance plan probably have a broker that's doing this. Any broker, I'll say this, if your broker isn't doing that once a year, your broker's not doing their job.
Right.
Okay. Because the due diligence on it needs to be done at least once a year, because that's how fast the landscape is changing. So, there are a lot of moving parts here. It just, bringing it all together, sort of one thing is so vitally important, particularly when the business owner starts looking at, okay, how, when do I exit? I'm getting older. Do I continue to own the business? Do I sell it? Do I give it to my kids? What do I do with it? Right. And that, in the face of all kinds of technological change, artificial intelligence coming into our worlds, all this kind of thing. So yeah, more than ever, every single advisor needs to work we need to work alongside one another for common clients. It's so important.
So for business owners watching today, what steps should they be taking to determine if the digital family office is right for them?
Well, I don't know that I would say I don't know anybody that the digital family office wouldn't be right for. So why don't I just say that?
Right.
I think if I'm a business owner, I'm probably going to ask somebody to, run point on bringing a team together. Okay. Maybe it could be somebody who works for me. Maybe somebody who's in administration, like say, I want to introduce all my, go and introduce all my advisors to one another via email. Okay.
Great.
Which is an easy thing to do. Joe,
easy.
Meet Bob meet Sarah, what have you, so it could be as simple as that, or it could be that some of that's already happening, but maybe it needs to happen more. I don't know. It's task somebody with doing it. Okay. All right.
It shouldn't be that hard. I mean, and then as you're making the introductions, just express why you're doing it.
Right.
I need more clarity on this. I need more of this.
Got it. Okay.
Right? Mike, I appreciate the time. Any last final thoughts?
No, I think bring together your advisors and you win.
Simple as that.
Simple as that.
Bring the team together, you win.
Right.
That's it.
Exactly.
That's it. Right. So thank you. If you guys have any questions, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Leave the comments. We're here to help. We've got an abundance of resources to share with you. If you do need help building this digital family office, if you need team, whatever you guys need, please leave the comment, reach out to us. We're happy to help.
Got it.
Mike, thanks again. We'll talk soon.
Thanks.